Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. Today is Wednesday and we are talking about natural witches. Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. I am Megan, aka Sabirsri. Today is Wednesday and today the topic is all about the natural witch. I gave a lot of thought to this topic and the different ways that I could kind of approach it. And I really enjoyed some of the things that Rich and Carr said. In particular, I think that it's important to note where some of the more stereotypical images of what it means to be a natural witch are. For example, like the movie The Craft, in which she's called a natural witch. And somehow that means that she comes about her power naturally. She doesn't have to work at it. She didn't have to learn it. And it's just always there. So that concept aside, it's already been addressed. I don't want to go back down that road. And I thoroughly agree with all of that part of it. So a natural witch, to me, there are kind of different ways to look at it. For one, to me, a natural witch also means that it's somebody who comes by it through the blood and comes by it through their birth. So that doesn't necessarily mean they're always born into a bloodline that practices. It could mean that they're born outside of a bloodline, but they are reborn. They are part of the bloodline, reborn into it. However, most of the time it does, the way that I see it, is refer to a hereditary, a bloodline. So that being said, that's one version of natural witch. Then there's the version that, you know, witchcraft and magic and all of that comes to them naturally. And then as Kara said too, it's also witches who and pagans who work with the nature and the natural forces of the earth. So those are all different components in it. However, one thing that I wanted to address, so that's all, you know, let's put that aside for now. That's all, you know, talked about it. I think we kind of get it. It's nothing huge on that. And if you feel like you're a natural witch, then that's awesome. Then take it and go with it and go with your gut. I think the more that you do go with your gut, the more you are prescribing to that philosophy of being a natural witch, which is letting the things that come to you naturally be the things that you gravitate towards. So the other side of this is one of the, I wouldn't say controversies, but something that oftentimes gets put on pagans in a negative light, and that is this belief that somehow being a pagan is less than because the religion is oftentimes created in the moment, whether it's ritual or how a calling of a quarters could be. In the moment, you could come up with something off the cuff. That, in some ways, is being a natural witch. That is just feeling it from the inside and then saying what comes to you and allowing that be part of the religion. However, many religions actually look down on this. They feel that if there isn't some sort of set way of doing something, you know, written in stone, 10 Commandment style, that somehow it makes the religion less than. And I want to challenge that. And I think it's really awesome when we can start to have these conversations. And the way that I want to start it is by talking about a particular author who is also a good friend of mine, Raven Grimassi. And he wrote a book called The Cauldron of Memory. And I really think that it was a beautiful work because it talked about this idea that we have memories, ancestral memories encoded in our DNA. Now, we already have proof, it's already widely accepted that DNA contains more than just physical attributes. It is not just simply do you get, you know, blue eyes, brown eyes. For example, birds and their migratory patterns. A bird is born knowing where to go for migration. It's what we call instinct. Well, that instinct is coded into their DNA. It's how it's passed on. No one teaches them this. And so that DNA is able to carry far more than just a genetic blueprint for the physical body. It also contains a blueprint for things that that creature might need in their life. The same is true for us. Just as much as we are advanced in certain ways beyond others in the animal kingdom, I say certain ways because I feel we give ourselves far more credit than we should be. I think that many animals are far more advanced in many other ways than we are. However, in certain terms of technology and things like that, we are more advanced. And as such, we are a more complex life form in many respects. As such, we also can take on more in our DNA. We have so much that could be encoded in there. And I think that it's a wonderful idea, and this new concept of looking at when we pull something, what we think we're just pulling from our gut or pulling from our heart or pulling from what feels right, that in truth, we could be pulling from ancestral knowledge. So if you go into a meditative state and you ask your ancestors to give you a ritual, to say, this is what is impacting me right now, this is what I need, help me to learn a ritual. Teach me a ritual that I can do. It's absolutely amazing. And you're pulling from the well of ancestral knowledge. All of that knowledge is in there. In fact, I think it's interesting, Joss Whedon decided to play off this theory a little bit in his movie Avatar, where in the, what is it? And the Tree of Ancestors, I think. Anyway, there are these long tendrils that hang down. And the tendrils that come out of their hair braids wrap around these tendrils of this tree, and they can actually hear their ancestors. They hear the memories. It's all stored in the tree, like he says in the movie, a computer. It's downloaded. They can access it at points. The same thing is true within ourselves. We have the ability to download this information. And so I want to challenge and say that everyone can be a natural witch, should you choose to download the information. Everyone can access that ancestral knowledge. You just have to be willing to tap into it. And that tapping into it does mean getting yourself into a truly sacred space through meditation, through trance, whatever it might be. But dream work is often a time when people are able to access it most readily because they are completely uninhibited. They've shut down all of that super ego conscious part, and they're able to really access the other parts of their mind. And so if you can do that through meditation, through trance, whatever it might be, any of those methods, whether it's dreaming, those will allow you to access that ancestral knowledge much easier. And I encourage you to go with your gut, go with those things that feel right to you, because those are what has been encoded. That is that instinct. That is what's true and what's right inside you. And I challenge anyone who says that just because Gerald Gardner, came about in the 60s and said, hey, this is a new religion. I say, you know what? We're all pulling from ancestral foundation. And sure, is it a reinterpretation? Is it a new way of looking at it? Do we sometimes have to reframe it in a way that makes it work for our modern world? Absolutely. But that's part of evolution. That's part of growth and change. I think it's exciting, personally. So, natural witch, work with nature, sure. Go for it. A craft style, it's just sort of in you, it comes easy. Okay, sure. The hereditary version of a natural witch? Absolutely. Am I a natural witch? Yes, natural, born that way. It's in me. It's part of my bloodline. Absolutely, I feel that way. But the big one, number 4, is I think everyone can be a natural witch. I think everyone has the ability to access ancestral knowledge and to pull out our rootedness, our magic that is deep within us, that's in our blood, encoded in our DNA. So that's about it. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll see you next week. Blessed be.